Good morning. It's once again Thursday. It's 6:30 Pacific time, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. You catch me every week. Also, my written word every Monday on globalwealthprotection.com. So an interesting discussion took place this past week on one of my threads, and had to do with the difference between justice and vengeance. And from a personal perspective, obviously, and also just from observing our own injustice system, as the case may be, I feel like there needs to be a sort of paradigm shift in terms of how society approaches correction in behavior, all the way down to parenting, right? And understand that if I'm to advocate for peaceful parenting, I don't believe that the methods in which people correct one another in their behaviors and their choices should change simply because they're now 18. Okay. Sure, there's an expectation, an age of accountability, if you will, on some sort of continuum. It's rather arbitrary. There's precocious people and there's people who are a little slow to the game. But by and large, sure. I mean, okay, we can account for the fact that somebody understands or should understand right from wrong, etc., and acceptable versus unacceptable behavior. But the empathy that advocates for peaceful parenting would have doesn't stop at age 18. You don't get to treat an adult like dog shit because they're 18 now. The empathy doesn't stop. If the empathy stops, then it was conditional, right? Then it did. And so if we're to take any sort of lesson from peaceful parenting, it's that this is how we handle people, not just small people. The sad part, the reason why there's this peaceful parenting movement in the first place is because small people are the only ones our society tolerates beating, right? And spanking and hitting and the punishment reward carrot stick approach to behavioral correction and discipline. This is the only demographic. Children are the only demographic where this is acceptable. And so those who advocate peaceful parenting have run to their aid, these children's aid, and said, at least philosophically, this is not okay. This doesn't work. There's better ways to parent. We can be more creative. We can be more peaceful. We can be more reasonable. It is incumbent upon the parent to use the reason. They are supposed to be the rational party, right? The 2 or 3-year-old is obviously going to throw a tantrum. The parent is supposed to set the cadence of being calm, collected, reasonable, and rational. And everything that you would argue for peaceful parenting, I would then argue for correctional behavior. Right? If it doesn't work on children, if carrot stick, physical punishments don't work on children, what makes you think at some point when you're older it works on adults? It might. I mean, there are those. I mean, not to say that people don't have the ethical conundrum of hearing that you will be punished if you do this. You will experience harm if you do that. Not to say that people don't operate that way. I certainly know several who feel like there needs to be a law against murder in order for them not to murder. Okay, I know people like this who have openly admitted it and thought that that was some argument against anarchism. No, it's actually indicative of an ethical conflict that needs to be addressed, right? An ethical issue within that person that needs to be addressed. It's not a social issue. It's not a societal issue. It's not a mass issue. It's an issue with that individual who has some serious ethical hang-ups in terms of knowing that murdering is always wrong. That it's not justified simply because there's no law in place. That person needs a paradigm shift onto themselves. But nonetheless, there seems to be, and I see this not just in our current justice system, but even in exchanges with people who consider themselves to be neutralists or voluntarists, is that there's the first, even libertarians, right? The first response to a transgression is they need to be punished. No, I want to get out of that. Right? They need to be punished. No, that's not it. They don't need to be punished. You need to be made whole. If you're a victim of a crime, you need to be made whole. Is what needs to happen. Okay. Now, I liken justice to that of an insurance policy, in that insurance isn't meant for you to profit. It isn't meant for you to make money. It's not a stream of income. It's there to supplement whatever you can't afford on the fly. Right? It's there to supplement what you need in the event of an emergency and make you whole again. Now, if you total your car, you're never getting that car back. Your insurance policy isn't going to get you that car. Sentimental as it might have been, whatever it is, awesome this, awesome that, did all this aftermarket shit to it, I don't care. The insurance policy is not going to get that back for you if it's totaled. Okay? The insurance policy, however, is going to say, okay, this is the market value of that car. We will give you the money to go and find that car again, or something similar to it, something comparable, so that you can have a car and you can continue on your way, go to work, whatever it is. Okay. An insurance policy is if you get into an accident and something were to happen to you physically, and you couldn't afford the medical bills that are tied to that treatment, they would help pay for that, so that you once again can be made whole, right? Or as whole as you can. You might have, in an accident, you might very well have ongoing problems, in which case the insurance company can only help you pay for that. The insurance company cannot make you better. Okay? They're not getting you a totaled car back. They're not curing you of anything. Okay? They're just going to try and help you to get back to a good place. Okay? As close to the way you were before the accident as possible. That's all the insurance company can do. And that's what justice is. Okay? Justice is about trying to be made whole. It's not about making things perfectly the way they were before. It's never going to be that way. Once something happens and consequences unfold, there is no turning back time. Justice isn't about turning back time. Okay? So you're not getting exactly what you had. Now, in the case of theft, pretty simple. You're going to return what was taken, plus interest. If you sold it and got rid of it, lost it, broke it, or whatever it is, then fair market value plus interest. What if it was sentimental? It was an heirloom. Well, nothing that person's going to do at this point is going to replace that. It's an irreplaceable thing. Once you say something is priceless, once you say something is irreplaceable, once you say that it is one of a kind, and once it's gone, it's gone. Okay? Once that's been established about something, if it's a sentimental item or a life, and you're saying there is no bringing that person back. There is no getting back the sentimental value of that locket or whatever it is, right? Then you've admitted that the true price of that person or thing is unattainable by anyone. Now, somebody could return the locket, you could be made whole, you go home. That's it. Somebody didn't get you the locket, they've already hawked it and fenced it. Now, all they can do is say, well, it was valued at X. I would like X plus interest. Okay, right? That's still equitable, right? That's still equitable. Well, I can never get the sentimental value back. Therefore, I need to do something physical to you. Mm-mm, mm-mm. That's not it. That's not it. That's not the answer. The answer is to try and make you as whole as possible. And if an insurance policy can't do it, then sure as hell justice can. And justice isn't about trying to find a way to, to plead a case to hurt somebody else. Now, I jotted down a few notes from a very nonpartisan source known as the dictionary. Okay, and I want to illustrate to you the difference between justice and vengeance, and how vengeance shares a lot more common ground and is more synonymous with malice than it is with justice. I actually tried to find, I tried to go through with the source and see if I could find any tangential connection between justice and vengeance, and it turns out there isn't any. But there is a considerable amount of overlap between vengeance and malice. Okay. Now, justice, just listen to the types of words being used for justice to define it. The quality of being just, righteous, equitable, or moral. Rightfulness, as of a claim or title, justness of ground or reason. A moral principle determining just conduct, in keeping with the truth or facts done or made according to principle, equitable. Equitable. The word just, guided by truth, reason, and fairness. Okay. Now, here's vengeance. Infliction of injury, harm, humiliation, or the like on a person by another who's been harmed by that person. Violent revenge. Revenge. To exact punishment or expiation for a wrong on behalf of, especially in a resentful or vindictive spirit. Retaliation for injuries and wrongs. Vindictive, it says especially in a resentful or vindictive spirit, and vindictive is synonymous with malicious. Okay. Now, in the definition of justice and just, there is also a line item talking about laws and whatnot, and judicial system and whatever. And I want to take this out of the statist context for a second, so I'm not going there. Okay. Because, I mean, to say, well, in accordance with the law and penal codes doesn't mean anything to me. It's rather arbitrary and stupid because of some of the shit I've seen. There's no equitableness to that. But it also does talk about the proper reward or punishment. A proper reward or punishment. Now, here's what makes criminal activity unique. Now, I could commit the same act, right? I could commit the same act, one with the intention to do it and the other with no intention to do it. Example, I run over your dog, right? Now, I could hate your ass, come after you, and mow down your dog, come hell or high water, riding anywhere I can to peg that poor thing. Or I could be driving home, your dog runs out in the middle of the street, I can't stop in time, it's raining, whatever, I hit the dog dies, right? I can't bring the dog back. Dog's a member of your family. He's been there for 10 years. Kids love him. It's like you just killed you might as well have killed my child, blah, blah, blah. Whole thing. But here's the difference. One was done with intent to kill, and the other was not. Once I say, I totally didn't see him coming. It was raining. I couldn't stop in time. I'm sorry. I feel horrible. Can I get you another dog? You're one of your choosing. I'm so sorry. Even though it wasn't my fault, I have the right of way. But I feel terrible, right? I want to do something. And I say, what can I do? Can can I get you another dog? You know, something, right? I'm already contrite. I'm already repentant. I'm already contrite. I don't know what else to do. Please tell me what to do and I'll do it. Now, only an asshole of the highest order would say she should get 25 lashings for killing a family member like that. Only an asshole would say that to somebody who's already contrite and remorseful. Okay? That's an asshole move. And if you think that that's acceptable, then just turn this shit off. You're well beyond reason, and I can't have that conversation with you, obviously. But for the people who understand that it was unintentional, it was an accident, the dog got out, it happens, it's horrible, it shouldn't have happened, we wish it didn't happen, nobody wanted it to happen, but it did nonetheless. Do you accept their offer to try and make you whole again? Of course you do. Only a decent person would. Right? A reasonable, decent person would say, God, I'm sorry, you know, I'm really upset, but yeah, okay. We'll pick out another dog. It's fine. You know, let's just move on. Let's just try to move on. Okay. Nobody sees the point in 25 lashings here. Right? I killed the dog. Same situation. I still kill the dog, but I go out of my way to do it. You catch me, and I say, fine, get you another fucking dog. There. Goddamn dog. I'm not remorseful. But your dog's still dead. One way or the other, the dog's still fucking dead. Now what? Whatever. I'm gonna get you another fucking dog, I'll get you another fucking dog. Fine, whatever. Now what? Do you take it? Now do you ask for the 25 lashings? Now you feel vindicated for it, don't you? A little bit, maybe? Well, basically what you're saying is, if the person's an asshole, then I'll go back. Right? More importantly, what makes it so criminal is that they intended to do it. Right? That's the point. That's the difference between an accident, you know, like manslaughter versus murder. And why murder is considered a more heavier crime. Manslaughter, typically, you don't go out with the plan of killing anybody. Right? There's no intention. There's no intent whatsoever. It's void of intent, but nonetheless it happens. But whether it's an accident or intentional, the outcome is the same. Are we punishing the intent? Because if you're punishing intent, then now you've become the thought police. Now there's no difference between that and punishing for a hate crime. Okay? And most libertarians don't believe in that. Don't believe in thought police. Don't believe in punishing the thoughts. They only believe in punishing the crime and what actually happened. Typically, not to say that there aren't libertarians who think that there should be, you know, some sort of special laws for special people. You know, that you can, you know, if a white man kills a black man, that's bad. If a white man kills a black man while screaming racial epithets, that's especially bad. We should punish his racism and his intent, right? I'm not condoning murder. I'm not condoning killing. I'm not condoning any of that, and I'm not making an excuse for it, nor am I trying to make light of it. What I'm saying is that in the end, the outcome is the same. What would have made you whole? The intention was not there. What would have made you whole? What would have made you okay? Perhaps what makes you forgiving is the contrition itself, the repentance that you'll never get from somebody who does something in cold blood. If somebody accidentally kills your dog and they're contrite and they're sincerely contrite about it and they're offering to do what they can, but know that they can't replace the dog. That acknowledgement alone helps you to forgive, doesn't it? A little bit, maybe? Whereas the cold-blooded murderer who says, go fuck yourself, fine, I'll get you another goddamn dog, doesn't give you that, right? There's no emotional closure. So then you feel like, well, fuck. If it's okay to kill my shit, I'll kill your shit. Mm-mm. If what made that criminal a criminal, what made it horrible, what made it wrong, was their intent, right? If what made it truly wrong, as opposed to an accident, right? Even the Catholic Church makes the distinction, venial versus mortal sin, right? Mortal sin having the intent, venial sin being, oops, you accidentally fucked up. But sin is sin, right? Not that I'm a Catholic, but I'm just saying they do make the distinction between something that you intentionally did wrong versus something that you just, whoops, human error, right? Because they do believe, they do ascribe import to the intent, where your heart was at. But of course, that's a religion and it deals with the spirituality of things. Justice isn't about that, though. Justice is about, to me, objectively administering that which makes you whole again. This is not meant for you to profit. This is not meant for you to get your rocks off. This is not meant for you to exact vengeance. The point of a justice system, even in the form of a DRO, is not meant for you to find an excuse to exact vengeance, but to deal civilly with somebody. Because despite the fact that you've been transgressed, and despite the fact that you've been harmed or hurt or denied the presence of someone or something that was rightfully yours, you're not the criminal. Sitting there saying I should be allowed to kill this person should die, this person should be tortured, this person should suffer some sort of physical harm after the fact. Now, distinction, huge distinction. If somebody is trying to attack you, harm you, rape you, assault you, steal from you, invades your home, and in any way, shape, or form, in that moment, you show up and you're there and you kill the person trying to do this in self-defense, that is completely different than the person gets away with it, runs off, and you later apprehend the person and say, I want to kill them now. That's not defense. That's not self-defense. That's retribution. Self-defense is only when it's happening in the moment. In the moment that you are being attacked, assaulted, robbed, raped, attempted, somebody's making an attempt on your life. In that moment, if you do what you do to get away from that person and that involves killing them, that's self-defense. If they get away with doing what they did, and then later you come and hunt this person down like an animal and say, now I want to kill you. No. You don't get to do that. That's premeditated. That's premeditated taking of a life, premeditated harm with malice. Premeditated harm with malice and foresight, no. That is what makes it criminal. If it was a criminal act for them to do that to you, then it's still a criminal act to do it back to them. I know, that fucking sucks. It sucks. I know about transgression. I know about these things. And yes, there is a dark corner of my fucking mind that plays out scenarios and says, yes, I get it. Okay, I do. I very much do. But what makes me a civil human being is that in the end, I won't do it. And I won't ask for it. Even if even if in the end the laws were to switch up and somebody said, you can do this, we can do this for you. The law allows for you to do this to this person. I still wouldn't call for it because it doesn't do me any fucking good. You've already taken that which is irreplaceable. There is no making that better. And me beating the shit out of you, me watching the shit get beaten out of you, you getting, something happening to that person losing their life, that person losing everything. I don't care. It doesn't matter what loss they suffer. It doesn't compensate me for the loss I've suffered. So what? I'm meant to engage this cycle of loss? What's the difference between that and blowback? What makes the argument for peaceful anarchism, peaceful voluntarism, is that that individuals are not trying to exact vengeance on each other. Okay? We're not trying to get away with something because there's no laws. What we're trying to do is create a society that doesn't require you to violate people in the first place. That would never, the circumstances under which some people violate others, not always, but some, can be easily connected to a culture of force and violence established by a government like ours. The trickle-down effect of regulation and taxes push people to a desperate, desperate place. The criminalization of things that are absolutely harmless lead people to criminal activity that they otherwise would never have engaged in. And I believe that once you remove the government element, right, and remove that culture and that horrible cancer in our society, that you're left with individuals who would be dealing reasonably with one another. Somebody perpetrating a criminal act against you is not a free pass for you to be a criminal back under controlled circumstances. There is no controlled criminal activity. There's just criminal activity. What's criminal? It's a statist term? No, it's not. Criminal is the willful violation of somebody's rights. Natural right. And there is natural law involved. That being a rapist, being a murderer, being a robber in a stateless society is an unsustainable lifestyle, because at some point you will be met with at the barrel of a gun. You will be met with somebody's retaliation. It will happen. It's inevitable. You can only cross the street without looking both ways so many times before a car in fact does come and knocks you on your ass. And there's only so many times you can conduct yourself, you can engage in a violent lifestyle and not be met with matched violence. You can hold somebody up with a gun, and that person might very well have a gun and they're not good with it. And then one day you're going to hold somebody up with a gun who not only knows how to use the gun really well, but happens to have a tremendous amount of physical agility, and they're going to kill you. And that's the end of it. You can only go on, targeting and casing out rape victims for so long before one time you meet somebody, you think she's meek, and she ends up being a fucking rock star in martial arts and kicks your ass and runs away with your fucking balls. There's only so many times you can pull it off. It's not a sustainable lifestyle. In a stateless society where a victim is no longer restricted by the rule of law on how they defend themselves, shit gets real very quickly. But criminal activity is the premeditated taking and violation of somebody's rights. And if your punishment involves something very similar and engaging in that kind of exercise, it's still fucking criminal. So I would suggest taking off the table torture and death from the list, from the menu of punishments and penalties that could be administered, even in the most horrible of circumstances. That in the case of murder even, that give the person an opportunity to live a life of tribute to the person who was taken, rather than trying to make up to the entire family the loss. While the family was hurt, and while the family suffered the loss, the person who suffered the ultimate loss and the ultimate victim in all of that was the person who was killed. Should he compensate the family? Only to the extent that he can live a life of tribute to the person whose life he took. That's it. The person was going to go to college. Fine. He pays a full ride of college to somebody who's now going to go and major in the same thing. They like to hike in the park. Fine. He goes and cleans the trails. But we need to be more creative. The way we try to be creative with peaceful parenting, the same amount of creativity and empathy is necessary in a justice system, especially if a stateless one. All right. Have a great week. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.